Hey there, welcome to the Latter-day Saint Dating Podcast, where we talk about real struggles, real stories, and overcoming and becoming and being our best and happiest selves. I'm Matt Little, and I have with me also my co-host for today, Ashley Jordan. And thank you so much for joining us, Ashley.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really happy to be here.
It'll be awesome. I'm really excited for our discussion today. Okay, so Ashley, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your story? Why did you decide to become a dating coach? Would love to hear more.
Well, my story kind of starts because after my mission, I was positive that I would get married so quickly because that's sort of the way that the culture puts it in the church and in this community. And that was actually really not a good mindset to have because then what happened was I ended up being single for quite a while after my mission, and I felt like something was wrong with me. And so I spent like so many years just feeling miserable being single. But then when I actually got into relationships, I wasn't that happy either. Always felt like something was missing. I never felt like this person was everything I wanted, and I just could never quite figure out why I was never fully satisfied. And then fast forward to 2022, I was dating somebody very seriously. We were talking about getting married and getting engaged very soon. And I was like, wow, I finally figured it out. I don't have to be single anymore. This is amazing. I'm planning my future with someone who loves me very much. And it was super exciting. And then I ended up moving out of state for a summer to do a job. And we were long distance. And within about weeks of me leaving, we ended up breaking up out of nowhere. That was really, really hard for me because I was already kind of struggling in just this job and trying to navigate all these changes. And I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I was doing a terrible job at most things in my life. And the only thing I had going for me was that relationship, really. And so when that fell apart, I felt like everything just. And from there, I ended up having just experiencing really deep anxiety and depression, just a very, very dark time of my life. I felt like a complete failure. I felt like I was unlovable because this man who wanted to marry me now just left me. That's what it felt like. And so in this struggle, I ended up reaching out to a life coach that I had met with before, but it had been a while. So I reached out to her and I told her all my struggles. I was like, my job sucks and I suck at this and I'm like not making any money. And then my boyfriend broke up with me and I was listing off all these things, right? She paused and she looked at me. I remember telling her that I felt like a complete failure, that I felt unlovable. Those two keywords I mentioned earlier. She looked at me and she was like, Ashley, would you ever say that to your best friend? That they're unlovable and they're worthless and a failure? And I was like, no, of course not. And she was like, why are you saying it to yourself then? It really made me pause. And I remember that moment. And what ended up happening from there is we dove into this whole world of self-love and growing in my love for myself and growing in my relationship with Christ. It's so funny because I was like, I don't have a self love issue. I'm fine with myself. I've always been pretty confident. I'm pretty happy on my own. I didn't think that was my issue. But it turns out that when you value your relationship with yourself and your relationship with God, and you learn to have resilience with yourself and stronger self worth, stronger self confidence, turns out that the rest of your life starts to become amazing. And that's what happened. Is From there, my life started to change actually pretty quickly. I started to love my life every single day. I actually ended up quitting my job and coming home, which is not what I had planned. But I came home, I kind of started a new chapter of life. I ended up getting a new job that I loved at the time, and I ended up moving to a new place that I just loved. I made all these friends. I was like so excited to wake up every single day.
Wow.
And in all of this like excitement, I had this thought one day and I was like, I should become a coach because I wish that everybody knew what I know right now. Like I've never been so happy before. And so that's kind of what started the journey, and I kind of put together like a curriculum of all of the things that I had learned in the past, like, years through coaches and books and experiences and whatever. And I put it into a 3-month program and started started my coaching journey.
Right. I love that. That's a very powerful story. There's a lot of raw emotions and experiences, heart-wrenching experiences, right? So why do you focus on dating? Or do you not focus on dating? What do you focus on?
Yeah, so I do focus on dating, but I have a very big emphasis on self love and falling in love with singleness. I really think that people are going to have a better experience in dating if they can first learn to love and appreciate singleness, and to really like develop a strong relationship with yourself and what you want out of life while you're single. And it's just going to lead to better outcomes in dating.
I love that. And just to add on to that, I would say that is even scripturally backed. If you look in the Book of Mormon and Alma, Captain Moroni, he writes this really nasty letter to Pehorin, and he's like, look, if you are traitors, we are going to first clean the inner vessel before the outer vessel, right? Before we go fight the Lamanites, we're going to fight ourselves and we're going to fix ourselves and make sure we're okay. I think that's really powerful that you focus on love yourself first and be good with yourself. And when you've done that, that's when you're ready to go expand that with other people as well.
For sure, 100%. I also want to hear about your story and what led you to wanting to become a coach, and kind of the different focuses that you have in your coaching.
So for me, I served a mission as well. I served in Germany and I came back or right after the age change happened. So all of a sudden, like Provo, where I was going to BYU, it was a ghost town for women. There weren't as many women. But I was like, you know what? That doesn't matter. I'm going to have a good attitude about this. There's going to be like, I trust that things will work out well. And I came home gung ho, ready to like date and get married. I'm like, yes, let's get going on this. And so I would go on dates every week, lots of first dates. But I would sometimes get to a second date, but then I would always get friend zoned, rejected, or ghosted. And I could never get past a second date, really. I did a couple times, I got lucky. But I was like, this is a repeated pattern. It just keeps happening over and over again. And I would ask all the time, I would think to myself, like, what's wrong with me? Why does no one like me that I actually like, that I'm attracted to? Why aren't they attracted to me? And it was just so frustrating and so consistent. And just, it happened. It was for years. I was so committed and hardworking. I'm not going to give up. And I just keep going and just kept getting the same results for years. And I'm like, well, and I always felt like, there must be something wrong with me. And finally, I actually heard between general conference sessions, I was listening to the radio while I was driving somewhere, and I heard this ad from a dating coach. And she said, if you're not having the success that you want in dating, just know that it's not you, it's your technique. And I was like, wow, that's mind blowing for me because like I always thought something was wrong with me. Oh, maybe I'm not good looking enough. I thought, well, I'm really ambitious. I have a lot to offer for women as a guy, what women want, but it just was never working out. And so I'm like, oh, maybe there's nothing wrong with me. Maybe it's just my technique, my approach to dating that is make repelling the results that I want. And she told this crazy story about a 40-year-old woman who had never been on a second date in her entire life. And after 1 week of working on her with her and her technique, all of a sudden she went on her first ever second date. And then 6 months later, she was in a relationship. And I think a year or so later, she got engaged and then married. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I want that. So I actually called this coach. I did a free consultation call and said, hey, here's the situation. This girl basically ghosted me. Like, what should I do? And that kind of Like she told me some mind blowing things that I was like, wow, I've never thought about dating and pursuing a woman like that. And she told me like, yeah, just say these three things to her and like mean it. And if you do, she's going to want to go on another date with you. So I like practiced for an hour, like saying those things till they felt natural. And then I called her up, said those things. And this girl that had been basically ghosting me, she was in the same ward, so she couldn't completely avoid me. But she basically, at the end of the call, she was like, well, we go on a date Monday. And I was like, what? This is crazy. This is insane. And so I just spent the next couple of years deep diving into attraction and what actually attracts a woman. How do you effectively pursue? Like I bought that coach's her package and just learned everything I could. And all of a sudden, I just saw this huge transformation. I was going on fifth, sixth, seventh dates with a bunch of different women that I would in the past never have gotten past a second date with. And it was just because I changed my approach, my strategy. People say, oh, dating, it's the worst. I hate it. But if you're having success and you're having fun dating, it's the best. It's great. And it's most of the time in dating it doesn't work out, so it's still hard. There's still challenges with it. I'm not saying it's completely easy, but dating became a fun and happy part of my life when I changed that. And so I'm like, I want to give that back. And that's really what I focus on. I have a course called Attract Your Dream Wife. I mostly focus on men because I have a lot of empathy for men who are in the struggles of it. Men have a hard time in dating. I know women do too, but I really want to help men. And so I teach guys what's the right strategy and approach. How do you think about dating? What mindset should you have? And then what are the attraction skills? How do you work smarter in dating? Because I think it's important to act in faith, to work hard, but if you're not working smart like I was, you have no success. And so I help guys be more strategic and work smarter in
That's
their
so
dating
cool.
life.
That's amazing. I love that. It's so needed too. Holy cow.
So Ashley, what do you feel is the most important thing for Latter-day Saint singles to understand when it comes to dating?
Oh man. It's a big question. I love it. Um hmm, I've I want to say like five things, but um I do think that one of one huge emphasis that I make that I kind of have mentioned already is just like being able to have greater self-love, self-worth, self-confidence, all of those things. And I think there's a few ways to do that. One thing that I would say is to first navigate and overcome limiting beliefs that you have around dating. A lot of women, I hear a lot of women say, I specifically coach women, so a little bit opposite from you, but kind of a different approach, but also very needed, right? So mine is more of a women's perspective, but I hear a lot of women say, like, oh, like, there's just no good guys out there, or like, all men suck, like, all men are toxic, or like, God doesn't have someone for me. Like what if my person that he picked for me got married to someone else? Like things like that, or even just like I'm just not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not cool enough. I don't have like what she has, right? All of these are just beliefs. They're just like lies that we've like put into our minds or that the world has put into our minds. And I really think it's part of Satan's plan to like corrupt dating and marriage. And so if we can like rewrite and reprogram these beliefs and see them from a more of a perspective from God and like how he sees us, and I really think that can change our approach to dating, because it's actually so crazy. Like when I started believing that there's a lot of good guys who want to ask me out, like I go on lots of dates lately, and it's because I just decided. I was like, lots of good guys ask me out, and that's a belief I like created for myself, and I get asked out by a lot of amazing people. I just know. And then I'm talking to other girls and they're like, I never get asked out, and I'm like, well, that's a belief. And if we can just like shift that, your whole world is going to change. So I would say that's like one really important thing to start with. And then this is like this is maybe a little bit deep or obscure. People don't really think about it this way, but one huge theme that I think needs to be addressed in dating is attachment styles. And I believe that the best way to heal your attachment style is to learn how to regulate your nervous system and regulate um, your triggers whenever you feel triggered or anxious or panicked or upset. Learning how to regulate your emotions and sit back into like, okay, it's again going back to the beliefs, like, okay, who am I? Am I okay? I'm still loved. If this doesn't work out, it's not my fault. This is like God's gonna take care of it. Like just things like that. It's like it helps you get back into a more calm and relaxed state. Choose your approach to dating from a more grounded, secure place.
I love that. And I think the nervous system regulation is so huge, actually. I had no idea anything about this, but I actually got a concussion a little over a year ago. It like messed up my life and my body and my nervous system. So I've had to do a lot of work to regulate it and figuring that out. You can catch yourself going down a bad path. And it's like, okay, I'm going to use my tools to stop myself and I'm going to be happy instead. And
Yes.
I'm going to, it's so powerful.
Yeah. 100%. It allows you to kind of slow down and then realize, okay, like how can I pause and choose a different response to this? Because a lot of people will accidentally sabotage what could be a good relationship by just
Yeah.
like having that initial like, oh crap, like like if someone doesn't text you back, we've all been there. That guy that I've been on a few dates with, he didn't text me back. Suddenly I'm like, crap, he doesn't like me anymore. He doesn't want to be with me anymore. I did something wrong. I made a joke. Maybe he thought I was being serious and now he thinks I'm weird. Like we just go off and we overthink. And what needs to happen is we pause, we go, okay, I'm overthinking. That's okay. We slow down. I teach my clients to connect and to get back into their body, take some deep breaths, get back into that peaceful, grounded place where you can like really be in touch with the spirit, with your intuition, and then you can think about it better. That's when you have the ideas like, oh, maybe he's just busy. Maybe he just has a life and he couldn't get back to me. Or maybe even if I did something wrong, I don't want to be with him anyway if he's
Right.
going to write me off because I made a joke that he thought was like serious. You know what I mean? You start to realize like, oh, like it's actually not as big of a deal as I'm making it to be.
Well, first of all, I want to say that's really, really awesome. Is that what you think? Those two things, those are the main things that women can do to improve their dating lives? Or what would you say?
Hmm. Yeah, I do think that's one of the biggest things. I think I notice a lot of women, and this was me too. It's still something I work on all the time. Is that women tend to overthink a lot, and they tend to write off people fairly quickly. And again, when you start to realize that you can slow down before you react or before you make a response, you're going to realize that the reason why we want to write off people, or the reason why we like get freaked out when certain things happen in dating, is just because we like our body and our mind is trying to protect us. Like that's their job, they're like, oh, this feels really scary, let's go back to safety, so let's push him away, he's not an option anymore, or let's do something really crazy and out of pocket and see if we can get his attention again. And so
And it totally destroys it, it
yes,
sabotages it,
yeah,
right?
it ruins that connection because now you're approaching dating from like this really intense, um, like this desperate energy almost. And no one wants someone who's desperate or unsure of themselves, right? So I do think that would probably be the main thing on the women's side of dating is like I think that women just need to when they realize they're overthinking, we need to learn tools that can help us to pause, get grounded again, which is that nervous system regulation. There's a bunch of different things you can do to do that. Put love and grace and compassion and patience back into the situation, and then make your decision. Decide how you're going to approach whatever it is that you're feeling anxious
Wow.
or nervous about. But I want to hear kind of from the guy's side. What do you think the men struggle with the most, or what's something that they could improve on in
So I
dating?
love what you're saying. For me, my perspective on the men, well, actually, let me chime in real quick on the women too. Something I've seen in coaching a few women, I've coached a few, and I hear a lot of women say, oh, guys are lazy, or they don't treat me right, or no one asks me out, right? Things like that. And yeah, what I've seen is one thing that women can do to help change that a little bit is one, to hold
Yep.
people to high standards. You should not allow a guy to treat you poorly. You should not allow a guy to just use you for kissing or something like that. You should have high standards in dating as well and hold people to it. For example, my wife, she was upset that I
Mm,
texted her to ask her out for our first date instead of calling her. And so that's a standard that a woman can have. Hey, if you're going to ask me out, you need to call me. And to
yeah.
just politely say, hey, oh, you're trying to ask me out? Well, that sounds fun. You're going to have to give me a call. Just in a polite, kind way to say, hey, here's my standard, and make the guy
I
work
love
for
that.
them, do his job as the man. I think that's really important. And I
Hmm.
see sometimes women trying to do all the work, and
Yeah.
it's like you got to give the other person space to do it as well.
A lot of that comes from the women maybe feeling insecure or not feeling like they know who they are or what they want. But when you can get to a place where you're like, oh, I am the prize, I am pretty awesome, actually, I would make a great partner, then that's when women are naturally like, okay, well, I'm going to invite a man to like step up for me, and that's how I'm going to sift out the ones who are not for me.
Exactly. And when it comes to the men, I think a lot of guys, I have this formula for success in dating, and it's acting in faith times working hard times working smart. And I think if you're not having the success that you want in dating, it's going to come down to one of those three things. Are you not really involving God in your dating life? He can always make everything so much better. Additionally, are
Yeah.
you not working hard? Are you not putting in the work? And then the last area is working smart. So being strategic and learning good skills to confidently pursue her. The man's job is to do a lot of the pursuit and to do it with confidence, to be a good provider, to take the lead in dating, right? And it's kind of scary, and it's like
Yeah.
no one teaches you how to do that. You have to figure it out. Well, I'm glad there are dating coaches. That's one of the reasons why I became a dating coach, is because I want to help guys learn how to work smarter in dating and have a good framework for here's how I can approach and be successful. And then a common mistake I would say too that guys do a lot is they put someone up on a pedestal, or they're going too fast. And women really appreciate and trust relationships that are built slowly, and it just feels a lot better. And so there's this important balance of seeing a woman as an equal, a partner, that she's a person. She's just because she's super beautiful doesn't mean she's way above you. No woman wants a guy who puts her up on a pedestal. She'll never respect him. And so, first, have respect for yourself and see each other as equals. And then from there, just make sure you're not going too fast. Take time to go through the process appropriately. Because if you're going too fast, that's just a red flag. What's going on? What's wrong with this guy? Why is he moving so fast? I don't know. Have you seen that? Do you agree?
Yeah, it's so funny. I definitely feel like there is like an added pressure, and maybe that's part of being in Utah or being around the church where like there is this pressure to get married quickly, and there's a number of reasons for that, but I I have actually learned from experience it's okay to be excited about someone, but the ones that are patient and are present, and like we're just taking this a day at a time. We're just like I used to go on like a date and I would be like, okay, am I going to marry them or not? I don't know. And it would freak me out and it was like really intense, right? But now I go on dates and I say, would I want to spend 30 more minutes with them? Would I want to like talk to them for 30 more minutes? And that's all you have to know. And so then you're taking it one date at a time. And something I've learned recently is in the beginning of dating, people are going to give you their best side. They're going to show up as their best because you're trying to impress each other and you're trying to like, show them all your good qualities and the cool things about you, but you don't learn the other sides of people until you've spent time with them over long periods of time. And so this is like, not everyone has to follow this standard, but I've lately been doing this where I won't be like in a committed relationship until I've known them for about 2 to 3 months. And I know for a lot of people that's like, oh my gosh, my neighbor down the road got married in 3 months, like, met and married their kids in 3 months. I'm like, yeah, that happens. But I've just found the 3 month mark, for whatever reason, at least in my experience, that's when you start to see their true colors. And that's where you can decide, is this something we still want to pursue? Can we still improve each other and work together and make a healthy relationship? Or now that I've seen these true colors, is this something maybe that I don't want? Is this not meeting my standards anymore? Like I said, it's not going to work for everyone, but I'd say it's a good outline to at least start with, is somewhere around that 2 to 3 month mark.
Oh, yeah. I would say I totally agree. That's a really good rule of thumb. And I actually teach, like, I think about it in how many dates you've been on with the person or weeks. And it's 12. Like, that's where I recommend. And what I see, like I've seen relationships go faster than that. Usually those relationships end fast too. People are going too fast. And so it's healthy to slow down. It's good. Like you I loved how you explained it. Like you just build a more solid foundation. You truly know each other, like, and see the true colors coming out. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny because I think that's also where at least some of the women are like, that's when they get into that panic and that overthinking. And they're like, oh my gosh, we've been on like 10 dates and we still have, like, we're still not boyfriend, girlfriend or something. It's like, that's okay. Like, I think we should kind of normalize that these things take time. I think the only reason we panic is because we're expected to like be in a serious relationship by a certain amount of time. We're supposed to be married by a certain amount of time. It's like, no, like it's actually normal and healthy, like you said, to take it really slow and just kind of enjoy the process.
So let's jump into our next section about finding joy while being single.
Mm, what a great topic. I'm excited for this. So, I want to ask you first, how do you help men find purpose and fulfillment when they're not in a relationship?
Wow, I love that because a lot of times, like you've mentioned this too, but we feel like our worth or our purpose is tied to, oh, we need to be married, right? Like a lot of people think that, or we need to be in a relationship. And a relationship is a beautiful thing and it does add purpose and fulfillment. I think that's true that it does add to that. But one of the things that I tell guys is if you can't be happy single, you're not going to be happy in a relationship. Like how you are and your habits of happiness or sadness or whatever, that's going to just carry over to any area of your life. And so if you're always thinking the grass is greener in a relationship, the grass is greener in a relationship, you get in a relationship and you continue that habit of, oh, the grass is greener somewhere else. Like, oh, there's problems in this relationship because no relationship is perfect. And you're like, oh, the grass is greener somewhere else. It's a bad habit. So it's really important to just be like, okay, I'm going to find purpose and fulfillment right now. How can I make my life rich and full and create a beautiful, wonderful life myself? And so what that looks like to me is you're working on educating yourself. You're working on educating yourself on growing in every aspect, like spiritually, intellectually, financially. Like that's really important, and it's attractive to women when they see a guy who knows how to take care of themselves financially and is prosperous financially, right? And I would say also socially, like one of the common like dating burnout mistakes that I see happen is guys, and I saw this in myself, like they go on so many dates or they work so hard and they focus so much on dating that they neglect other social aspects. Like they don't have good friendships. And because they're not focusing on friendships, they're focusing on how do I get my wife, you know? And I think it's important to really have a good balance of those things. Like make sure at least once a week you're having fun with friends and you're prioritizing friendships. You're doing the things to stay close to God and to work hard in your education or your career. The last thing I would say is have fun hobbies that you truly enjoy and that enrich your life. Like if you love playing soccer, find a group of guys or create a group of guys, like get a group of guys together to go play soccer once a month or once every couple weeks. Like make sure you're joining good social circles and just having fun in your life and focus on building joy and happiness in your life, and I think that that will really help you. I love the quote from President Nelson that he says like the joy that we feel has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives. So really it starts with your mindset and your focus, but you got to build your life in those different areas. And if you do that, that's just going to make you more attractive to women as well because you have such a great life and you're a healthy person. Like, who doesn't want to be with that, right? So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, even as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, those are like all qualities I would love to have in a partner. And like, and I think the same advice goes for women too. Like, it's so attractive to find someone who is like just loving their life, enjoying their life. They're creating like vision and purpose, and they're creating different like just meaningful things and projects that they're doing, and they have good community. Like all of those are like huge green flags, and I think it's so attractive, like for both ways. I think universally.
Yeah. And I'd say do them, but don't just do them to impress a woman. If you're doing that, that's inauthentic and
Yeah.
fake, and you're not real. Your heart's not really going to be in it. Like you have to, from your heart, build a good, happy life. So,
Yes,
Ashley, for
I
you, I
agree.
want to ask how can women shift their mindset from waiting for marriage to thriving in the present? What would you say?
Yeah, it's honestly a similar answer because I feel like I think one thing that I want to address is like waiting for marriage is just difficult. Like some people are gonna go around and just be like, "Oh yeah, like you're waiting, but like just be happy and just like enjoy your life now." And like that's fair advice, but at the end of the day, like it's okay to acknowledge that like maybe I'm not where I wanted to be at this age. Like, I thought I'd be married by this age. And like I think we all experience that to some level in our 20s and our 30s. Like it's okay to be a little bit disappointed at times that you don't have your life partner yet. We're like our divine design is to yearn for companionship and is to want to build a life with someone so that we can create and have children and create families and like create a legacy, and there's nothing wrong with that desire. And so I think there's a balance of two things that I think can help with this. One thing is to just realize that waiting can be hard and let yourself like go through the emotions of it. Let yourself be sad about it sometimes. I love my life right now. I'm very blessed and very grateful, but I still certainly have days. Even this morning I was writing a journal entry and I was like, "Man, like this is kind of hard. Like I'm a little disappointed, but I love my life. I'm really happy at the same time." So this is like where you get to learn like like we're promised that Christ will give us peace beyond understanding. And so I believe that you can have that disappointment, you can be let down, you can have that frustration, but you can still have peace at the same time because you're so leaning into a relationship with Christ. And honestly, if you can learn to have an amazing relationship with Christ, that's probably the best thing you can do to prepare for a godly marriage. And then the second thing that you can kind of balance that can like help you find this balance is to just trust God. And that's like such a like you hear that concept and you're like, yeah, totally, but it's like how do you actually do that? But I think you just have to realize that like God is a good God who gives good gifts. He's our father. And he's literally he's the one who's like, if you have two loaves of or two fishes and five loaves of bread or however many, I might be mixing those up, I'm gonna turn it into enough to feed 5,000 and then some. Like he's not just like this scarcity god. Like he's like his plan is always better, always more abundant, always more merciful and beautiful than you could ever imagine. And so really leaning into like that trust and like realizing that it's all gonna work out. Like I know it's so easy to just say that and it's harder to live that. Just relax into that trust that like he's got this. He's gonna catch you when you're trying to walk on the water and you're sinking and you're drowning. And one way that we can do that is kind of going back to what you said is like find what brings you joy right now. Like you don't have to wait till you're married to be happy and to find joy and purpose. Like you can create something amazing right now and you can be refined and become who God needs you to be right now. And like that's really what God wants for us. God wants us to be in like a refined, holy relationship with him over anything. And then just imagine how much more beautiful that will be when you have like this three-way relationship between you and your spouse and God.
Yeah, I love that. So, like, it's okay to be disappointed, but there's also reason within
Hmm.
that to be optimistic at the exact same time when you're trusting in God and you're staying
Yeah.
close with Him.
Yeah, and like I would say like be careful to not take your disappointment out on God. Like I've done this so many times. Like God can take our anger, but I catch myself going like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not married yet," or so and so broke up with me, and like it's all God's fault. Like, God, why would you do this? Like, I must have done something wrong, or you hate me, or like, why are you making my life so miserable? And it's like, no, actually, God is like creating an opportunity for you to lean into Him and like become closer to Him and experience His love at a greater level. Like, my breakups have been some of my most sacred, holy experiences because now I can invite Christ into my pain and let him love me and like see what real love actually feels like. And like there's nothing better than that. That's powerful. So taking those disappointments, those pains, and like letting God redeem them for you.
That is so true. I love that point so much. Like, all the obstacles and the challenges that we face in life, God can help turn them into wins. And like you said, sacred experiences. I think that's such a good way of thinking about it. And it kind of, this whole conversation, it brings up the thought in my mind like, we can take a victim mentality as well and be like, oh, yeah, it's like, I trust God, whatever happens, like, it's all on God. But that's actually not the truth either. Like, that's not what it means to trust in God. Just be like, I'll be a victim and or I'll be passive and let God do whatever he wants with my life. It's actually, we need to be active and actively trusting him by actively moving forward, by actively using our agency, like to do good things of our own free will and choice, as the Doctrine and Covenants say.
Okay. What do you feel like are practical ways that singles can build their confidence and their happiness without relying on external validation?
Yeah, that's a good question because like it's really easy to fall into this state of like defining your value based on how other people value you. Like for example, in my own life, there was this girl that I was head over heels for, totally in love with, and it just became clear like it's never going to work out with her. And I was depressed, like not happy. And I'm like, what's the point, you know? But I think it's
Mm.
important to have a good abundance mindset. Like you mentioned, trusting God. I think there's a lot of power in that. Like something that my first dating coach told me was, she's not your only chance for happiness. You need to get that in your head and like continue to repeat it to yourself. And I even talked with like a therapist
Mhm.
during this stage of my life, and they were like, well, okay, so you believe basically that you can't be happy. Are you 100% sure that you can't be happy because of this? Like you have zero chance for being happy? And I was like, okay, you caught me. Like, just like good cognitive behavioral therapy does for you, like it breaks down where you're going wrong in your thought patterns. And it's like, you know
Yeah.
what? Okay, I'm going to have an open mind. I'm going to have an abundance mindset. Like if she like in the best 2 years, I love the talk or the quote where um the guy, he just got dear johned by his girlfriend. He's totally wrecked. And Elder Calhoun says to him, you know, if your girlfriend won't wait for you, your wife will.
Remember
And
that. That's so good.
I just, I love that. It's like have an abundance mindset. Like things will work out well for you. So that's the first thing. And then I would say like building confidence and trusting like and valuing yourself, you have to like work on. And some small ways you can do that. Like also at this in this hard stage of my life, something that totally changed everything for me was a class I took called Performance Psychology. And in it, we had this assignment to write, here's my objective for the day. And then at the end of the day, you evaluate yourself, but you can't beat yourself up. And I think that's another thing that the adversary tries
Mm.
to get us to do. He tries to get us to beat ourselves up, to be discouraged, to doubt ourselves. And we got to push away from that. And so instead of beating myself up, the evaluation is, here are 3 things that I did well today towards my objective. And here's one thing that I could do better. And I think that is it. Like, it's just so powerful. After doing that for 2 months, all of a sudden, like, I was not depressed anymore. I was happier than I had ever been. And it was because I was working on small little goals. I was accomplishing great things. I was focusing on the right things that built my confidence, that built my happiness. And yeah, like it didn't matter if I was in a relationship or not, I would still evaluate myself the same way and I would build my happiness the same way. What about you, Ashley?
That's so cool. I love that. Yeah. I think that for me too, for my story, a lot of it was about external validation and seeking happiness and seeking love and acceptance from things and people outside of me, right? And I think that's part of what led to me feeling miserable if I was single or if I was in a relationship. Like that's kind of where that dissatisfaction came from. Um, but I love what you said. I think there's something really to be said about those small and simple little routine, little habit things that seem really insignificant, but over time are really, truly very powerful. Something that I really did and that I still do as much as I can, something I teach my clients is we're so hard on ourselves, right? As you were saying, like Satan loves like knows our weak points in our head. And the way to really overcome that is to, I think, invite God and invite truth into where you're being critical and where you're picking on yourself. And so what I would do is like whenever I noticed myself like having negative thoughts about myself or about my dating life or about my single life, I would literally like I'd write them down and I'd do like what I call a brain dump. I'd write it down. And then I would ask, and I have my clients ask this question. You say, what does God have to say about this? What does God have to say about me? And what is the truth? What is the higher truth here? and just speak those words of life and encouragement and love and compassion over yourself. We're never taught to speak love and truth into ourselves. And so this was like super weird when I first started doing it, but I literally would speak out loud. I would sit in my car and I'd out loud I would say, "Oh my gosh, like I am loved and God has this and God is telling me right now that like it's okay to feel sad about it, but that he's got me and he's got angels around me." And like I would just go for like as long as I could, right? And it's amazing. That's something that totally changed my life in my experience to those months of depression and anxiety and feeling like a complete failure. The thing that pulled me out of that hole was learning to speak love and truth over myself, because people will do that for you. I love having people in your life who are gonna, be like, "You're okay, you got this," right? But you can't always rely on that. And so when you can like empower yourself through the power of God, I think that's like one of the coolest things that you can do for yourself. Again, it's something small, but when you do it consistently, you're gonna see your life change.
I love that. And what you just described, like those
Yeah.
exercises, that's literally inviting revelation. That's what that is. Like you
Yeah.
are inviting God to give you revelation, to teach you truth. You're saying what President Nelson has been teaching us, that we need to spiritually survive. We need to learn the skill of receiving revelation. Like that's what you're teaching. I love that. That is so powerful because when you understand the truth, that sets you free, as Jesus taught. Like the truth will set you free. We're going to jump into our next topic, dating strategy, how to approach dating and like how to be effective and do it well, right? So, first, I'm going to ask Ashley, I'm going to ask you a few questions for the women. And so, the first question I want to ask is how can women show interest in a guy without coming off as too forward? I think there's probably a lot of fear, like, oh, I don't want to come off too forward. Like, it just never works out if I do that. But, like, if I don't show any interest, he may not make a move ever. How should women think about that?
Yeah, I love this. For this one I have like more kind of specific like tips and tricks, I guess. Like a lot of my coaching is more like deep inner work, but then sometimes I'll pull out these things where I'm like, okay, here's like literally what you can do or say that could, could help your approach to dating. Which is so fun to talk about. There are some like really little things that can go a long way. One thing that women can do is
Mm,
honestly like make eye contact with someone that they think is cute. If you do it a few times, he might talk to you.
yeah.
This happened to me like last weekend. Okay. So it works. um, eye contact, little things like body language too, being approachable, right? So like women want to be pursued, women want to be like approached, right? A man probably isn't going to approach you if you look like this all the time and you have like an angry face and like that kind of thing. So like simple things like opening up your body. If you're like with at a group thing with a group of friends, like some girlfriends, usually like girlfriends will circle up and they'll be like huddled close and they're chatting. And that's really fun. But if you see a guy across the room and you make eye contact with him, you're going to want to open up the circle because he's probably not going to come up and talk to like a group of huddled, like 5 women huddled all together, right?
Yeah.
So little adjustments like that, I feel like really help.
Only
Um,
the top
and then of
only the
course
top
like
1% of men could pull that off well, like or be confident enough to open up a whole group of women to like talk to you. So
yeah,
this is a great point you're making.
right? Yeah, don't make it like too intimidating for him. Like you have to give him an opportunity. Um it's always good to kind of have the playful like touch when you're flirting and that kind of thing. Guys like to be touched on the arm or all those little things. Another thing, I've heard this. I don't know if I've used this one yet, but I've heard it. So I don't know. Someone can try it and let me know how it goes. But if you're like talking to a guy that you really admire and you really like a lot of his qualities, you can just say things like, like, oh, like I really like that this quality about you. I think that's really amazing, and I would totally date a guy like you. Or if you're talking about like an event, like, oh, did you see like they're doing this play in town? Like that'd be so fun. We should like do something like that sometime. Then it just like opens up, like the guy can be like, oh, that's cool. She like would want to do something with me, and then like he has more of an opportunity to ask her on a date, which I think is what women want. Is they want to be asked on a date.
Yeah.
So
And one thing I would just add to that too, like from a guy's perspective, I've been in a situation where a girl
yeah,
basically was hinting at, like, hey, you should take me on a date. I think it's such a huge compliment, first of all. Like, if guys love that, that doesn't happen enough to guys. But I
yeah,
would say a good way to like not come off too forward is just to like say a statement that he can take or leave. Like, for example, you can just say like, wow, you seem like you'd be a lot of fun to do blank activity with. And that way it's like, hey, like you could go on a date with me, right?
cool,
But you're not like putting him on the spot like, hey,
right,
you should take me out. It's like, oh, okay, she's like crazy lady, like I'm a little intimidated, but like just to like give the guy
yeah,
like open show him, hey, there's an opportunity here, and then see what he does with it.
right. Yes, and I think this is why I really balance the inner work with like these fun tips and tricks, right? Is because if you're doing this from a place of feeling desperate and feeling like, oh, I have to be asked on a date or I'm not going to be happy or I'm not going to feel accepted, like, and you're doing these things, it's going to come off desperate no matter how good you are at flirting and making contact or whatever. Like, people can feel your energy. People can feel if it's coming from an authentic place or from an insecure place. So I think it's again going back to like, okay, I'm gonna try this because I'm feeling confident. I'm in a great place myself. And then once you say, a statement like that and you leave it to the guy, then it's a win-win because if he doesn't do anything about it, you're okay. You're like, okay, he's just not really my guy then. If he does, then you're like, great, cool, I'm excited, right? And it's like, then you can handle rejection and you're not like, it's not like the end of the world if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, if you're coming from a state of, hey, I am like desperate, like I really need him to ask me out, or I really want him to, a woman might be tempted as well to like try and force it and start doing some of the work for the man. And then that just sets up the guy to be a lazy guy who's never really going to pursue you.
Right.
So once again, like that's why it's good to like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, here's an opportunity, and then let the guy take it or leave it.
Yep.
Can you tell us more, Ashley, about this technique? Drop the hanky. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, yeah. So all these things that we've been talking about here, this like, capturing their attention, trying to get open up an opportunity for the man to ask you out, like all these things that like deep down we really want it to happen this way. This concept is actually it's a thing that's been going on for years and years and years and years, and it's called drop the hanky. And basically where it comes from is like the olden days. I don't know what to call it, but way back in the day, women would carry around like little hankies in their dresses and whatever. And if she was like walking down the road, and if a woman saw a guy who she was like, oh, he's really cute, I would want to get to know him better, she'll walk by and casually, accidentally, in quotes, drop her hanky and then keep walking by. The guy will notice, oh my goodness, this girl just dropped her hanky, and it gives him an opportunity to grab it, pick it up, and follow after her, literally pursue her, chase her, and find her. And he'll go, oh my gosh, here, like you dropped this. Boom. They're able to have this conversation now. The reason why this is really cool is because like biologically men want to pursue and go after a woman, and men want to feel like a hero. Men want to solve women's problems. And women also want that. Women want to be able to relax and feel like they can trust a man to provide for her and to take care of her. Um, but women also, like, I think some people have a problem with this because they're like, well, I don't want a guy that I don't like to pursue me. And the thing is, you can actually choose almost in a way who you want to pursue you by dropping the hanky. That's the point of it. Is you find the guy that you think is stellar, and then you can
Yeah.
do a couple of these moves, and if he responds, it might be a good match, at least in the courtship process, right? The courting process. So, I think it's a really fun concept, and it's something I'm hearing a lot. I'm having a lot of conversations about is like women want to be pursued, but I'm hearing a lot of women say that guys are lazy, they don't put in effort, they don't want to date a guy that they have to mother and take care of and do all the things. And so I want to kind of hear your perspective and like what are we how are we helping out the guys here and how they can effectively and confidently pursue a woman in a way that's like secure, because sometimes there's like the neediness or the desperate or the creepy pursuing, right, which we don't want either. So how do you do that for the men's side?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I want to re-emphasize some things I said earlier, but like, how do you like drop the handkerchief today, like in today's world? Because I don't see women doing that, like walking down the street and dropping. But you should carry a handkerchief just in case. Like you never know, right?
I
Uh,
know. Maybe we should literally
yeah,
drop the
literally,
hanky.
like you could literally do that. But another thing like with that is you're not the one like literally approaching the man and literally or like doing all the work for him because like dropping the handkerchief, it could look like, hey, you seem like you'd be a lot of fun to do fill in the blank activity with. Like that's, hey, I dropped this, are you going to pick that up for me? Like that's what you
Totally.
want to do. you
Exactly.
want to you want to test it. Like another thing
Yeah.
you mentioned is like the eye contact, like make eye contact, smile at him when you make eye contact. Like that is like, oh, that really is
Yeah.
really like it's so attractive to a guy. And if you're in your circle huddle of women, leave the group to like go get a drink or like something right after you've made that eye contact. You're dropping the handkerchief, you're giving an opportunity, and boom, he can take it or leave it, and like give him an opportunity to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Walk slowly. This is like it's such a small thing too. It's like when you walk away from your friend group, go slowly. Just casually give him a minute to like make that decision. Am I going to talk to her? Am I not? If you're walking
Yes,
slowly, he's going to catch you a little bit better. I just some women are
guys
just like
guys definitely need time because like it is scary for men. Like you need to understand that it's scary for a man to like go approach a woman that he's interested in. Like guys have to deal with so much rejection in dating. It is so hard. So be compassionate about that and understanding of it and use it to your advantage. Like go slowly. So you're giving him like in his mind, he'll be thinking, "Oh, I want to go talk to her. Oh, I'm scared. I can't do that." And then it's like, "Oh, but she's alone. This is my opportunity.
yeah.
No, I can't do that. You got to do it. Just go do it." And then finally he's like, "Okay, I got this. I'm going to go do it." And like if you're fast about walking and then walking back to your group, he's like, "Shoot, I missed my opportunity." Like give the guys a little time. And another like cool thing that I saw flying Southwest Airlines of all places, it was really neat. I saw women doing this in a cool way. Like I was on a flight to San Diego and I usually don't fly Southwest and there's assigned seats, but in this flight, like Southwest, they do like, hey, you just go find a seat and you sit down, and there was like only 60% capacity. And so like I was actually one of the last people to get on the plane, and I'm walking, and people, they're like sitting in the middle of the three chairs on the side. So like they're like signaling like, hey, no one sit next to me. I want my space. A lot of people were sitting on the aisle in the window seat. And I'm like walking through the airplane and I'm like, oh shoot, like I'm running out of spaces. I'm gonna have to be that awkward, like sit right next to someone at the back of the plane or something. But I ran into two women and I could tell they were like really good friends and they were not sitting next to each other, which I think is unusual, but it was so good because what they were doing, they would
Mm-hmm.
sit on like aisle seats that were kind of close to each other so they could still talk, but they were leaving a spot open for the guy, for some guy to like sit down, meet them. And I'm married, but I got the spot next to one of them, and she was really nice. Sorry, like unfortunately for her, I wasn't the guy of opportunity for her. But that's an amazing way of
Yeah.
she dropped her handkerchief, and you have an
It's
opportunity
so good.
to pick it up. There's probably a
Yeah.
ton of different ways. But like, I think the key thing, and like even in online dating apps, you need to do this.
Mm,
Like, there, I was talking with the president of Mutual, and he was talking with this girl, and she was getting tons of matches, but like no guys were messaging her, and is what she said. And she's like, "What do I do? Like, I just kind of like I don't know what to message and blah blah blah." Like, so he told her, he's like, just message some guys like that you're interested in. Like just send a
yeah.
message, say, hey, and comment something about their profile. Like just do that and see if they take it. And I think to the point of like guys are lazy. They're not putting an effort. Like there's a couple different things behind
Mm-hmm.
that. One thing that will guarantee a guy to be lazy is if you take the lead and you are doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that usually is coming from a place of, oh, I really like him. I want this to work out, instead of a confident, content, like attitude and mindset about things like my future husband, he's going to want me and pursue me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the more the mindset we need. And so, like, this one woman that I coached, she would actually put in effort to message a guy on a dating app, but then like he wouldn't ask her out. And so she would actually basically say, "Hey, you want to meet up?" And she started to take the lead. And what that automatically
Yeah.
does is it puts the guy in lazy mode, like, oh, she's interested, like I'll just let her do the work. Like guys will be as lazy as you let them be, and humans in
Yeah.
general will just be that
Yeah.
way. Like,
And it's setting up of for how the rest of the relationship is going to go. So you have to be really careful, especially in those early stages, because if it starts that way, then 6 months to a year later, it's going to be the same way. You're the woman's still doing all the work, planning all the dates.
exactly. And that's just not good. No one's going to be happy in that relationship. So we need to follow this
Mm-hmm.
principle of, hey, just drop the handkerchief and let the guy take the lead. Like, so
Yeah.
what I told that woman that I coached is, instead of saying, hey, do you want to meet up sometime? Maybe we could do this or this. Just message and say, hey, this has been a fun conversation. You seem like you'd be fun to actually meet up with. Just say it and then make him do the work. Let him do
Perfect.
it.
Yeah.
And,
I
I
love
think
that.
that's like the key to getting a guy to like pursue you is like give him an opportunity, make it clear, hey, there's an opportunity here, but make him do the work for it. And then
Yeah.
for the men, like to effectively and confidently pursue a woman in a secure way, I think the key is to first like practice, like, and just be patient with yourself. Like you're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes in dating. And also to have a mindset of most of the time in dating, it's not going to work out, but she's not my only chance for happiness. I can just
Yeah.
ask her out, and then it's her job to accept or not. And I'm just going to ask, and hopefully it works out, and assume the best. Like always assume the best results are going to happen, instead of coming from a mindset of fear, like, oh, I don't think she's going to like me. I don't think she's going to want to go on this date with me. Like, assume the best, and just like make sure you ask her out. Like, how do you know if a girl likes you? Just ask her out and keep doing it. And and
Yeah.
like if you keep asking her out and she keeps going on dates with you, like 99.9% sure she likes you. At least she's interested in you. She may not be head over heels in love with you,
Totally.
but she likes you enough to continue to go on dates with you. And that's like the key indicator of a woman being interested. And also
That's great. I love
pay attention to her interest. Like if she's like coming up with lame excuses like, oh, I don't want to go on this date, like she's saying things like, oh, I don't think I can do this Friday, and she's like not offering any other options up, or she always is coming up with lame excuses, realize, oh, she has low interest in me. That's not going to work out well, so I'm going to move on to someone who will give me, or someone who will be interested in me. And so
Yeah.
I think you got to do that, and then you got to not go too fast. Like a lot of guys text a girl that they like every single day, and it's like, no,
Mm,
only once a week, when you're going to ask her out, like reach out to her. Like focus
yeah.
on your life, and don't focus your life on her. Like build a good happy life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's so. I love that so much. And I was literally having this conversation with my friend earlier today. I was telling her like, that there's this guy I went on a date with, and we haven't really texted all week. And I'm like, honestly, like that's kind of a green flag. Like this has doesn't like it hasn't happened in a while. And I'm like, this is actually a really good thing. And I think a lot of people would, again, this is where we get like, oh, he didn't text me, and it's been 3 days since our date, and then now we're overthinking, and now we're like, oh my gosh, does he still like me? Does he still want to go out with me? But it's like, honestly, it's a great thing that, like you said, he's living his own life and he's not attached to you in an unhealthy way, in an insecure way. And I get to build my own life. He gets to live his own life. We're like enjoying our lives. And then when we come back, we're enjoying our lives together. And I think, again, like that's another thing that we need to normalize is like it's okay to move slow. It's okay to not text that person every day. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means that you're actually setting yourself up for a potentially very healthy connection.
Yes, I love that.
With all of this talk about pursuing and asking on dates and stuff, like there is, like you said, gonna be rejection still. It's not always gonna work out. It only ever works out with one person. So I'm curious, I wanna hear about like how you teach men to navigate rejection and keep a positive mindset all the while.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, guys deal with rejection a lot, and it can be very disheartening, discouraging, like because guys, they need to be the one pursuing generally. And I think there's a couple things that help. Like one, just mindset or thing to remind yourself is every rejection is one closer to your success and to the acceptation. Like, yes, this is going to work out. And the more rejections you actually get, the sooner you're going to get to like that yes. Like if a guy is only asking out a woman once per month because he's trying to minimize how much he gets rejected, he's going to take a long time to find his future spouse. Most likely, like he could possibly get lucky, but generally speaking, he is going to really take a long time. So you want to actually get as much rejection as possible, and just not take it personally. Like it's just a difference of, hey, yeah, I don't see this being a good fit. Like someone has different preferences. It's like, okay, that's fine. And like, think about like what you said. What are the truths about this? Like, you could say something negative, like, okay, I get rejected all the time. No woman wants me. What would God say about that? Well, and what's the deeper truth? It's like the deeper truth is there are millions and billions of women on this planet. There is abundance, and there's going to be one that's going to be a good fit for you. So believe that, and just keep trusting in the process and moving forward, and work smart in dating. And that's really like how I help men navigate that.
That's so good. Even just as you said that, like you were kind of walking through the shifting that mindset, I just was like, wow, that just feels so much better. Like you can like feel a difference in like the way that I don't know, just I don't know how to say it, just the way that it feels, which is gonna again like help you to make better decisions and move forward quicker, build that resilience. You're coming you're approaching dating from this more like relaxed, peaceful, confident place instead of feeling, desperate, feeling like all of that pain and the worthlessness that comes from rejection typically. So,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and it applies to both men and women, of course, not just men.
Yes. Okay. I love this one. I think everyone, men included, need to start with knowing what your standards are and what your values are in dating before you even like get out there. And this is something that like it makes such a big difference. I don't know why I never like in like the back of my mind I was like, yeah, like I kind of know what I want in a guy, but like when I got really clear about it, dating became so much easier because I'd be on like the third or fourth date and I or even sometimes the second date and he says something and I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't really align with like the kind of life that I want." And it's just like it's sad that like, there's the rejection point that's part of dating. It's part of the game, but it's like I'm sifting through more quickly and narrowing down more quickly the guys that are actually going to be a good fit for me, and at the end of the day that's what we want. um so I would say the first thing is like you need to come up with your core values. Your core values are like values and principles that you live by that you are going to take with you for the rest of your life. These can of course change over time, but for the most part they're going to be like your foundation for life. So this could be things like honesty, trust, communication, relationship with God, growth, ambition, adventure, playfulness, like kindness, authenticity. Like I have a whole list in one of my like freebies if you want to look at it. But so some like I would pick like 3 to 5 of those, and you decide like okay, where can me and my partner align in these values? They don't have to have all the same values as you, but I think it's really important that you and your life partner have at least a few very similar core values because you're building a life together. So that's something you're going to want to be aligned in. And then from there, I would prayerfully write down um, the things that you want in a future spouse. And I would do this with the help of God because He knows what you need better than you do most of the time. Um, but also, it's okay to like trust your desires. Like, we have things that we want. We want unique things in a partner. We all want something different, which is really cool. It's a really beautiful thing. And so trust those desires that you have because God put them in your heart for a reason. And so that's kind of a collaborative effort is, finding out what you really want in a partner with God. And then you're going to make us another list and you're going to write down who do I need to become to be someone else's dream partner? How can I be this person's dream girl, basically? And you're going to write out that list, right? And so I think that just sets you up for like an amazing experience where you're like, okay, I know what I want. I know what I'm not going to settle for. And I'm also becoming that person. I'm not just sitting here waiting for like the most amazing person to walk into my life. Like, I want to level up with them. And so I feel like that's like a good place to start. And then just to like to be like more specific in like how to communicate that's like a whole other world because that can get a little bit tricky, but when you are like confident in what you want and you're confident in your worth, um I love your example that you shared earlier where like um your you said, I think it was your wife now, when you asked her out, you did it over text, and then she was like, I actually prefer to be asked out like over the phone or in person, right? It's like it's little things like that where it's like, okay, I would first offer like appreciation and kindness and respect to the guy, and then state your standard. Like, oh, like I actually really value emotional intelligence or like emotional availability. Like, what does that look like for you? Or like, what do you feel you have to offer in a relationship when it comes to that? And just like asking questions, getting to know them at a deeper level, and um here's like a really good one is approaching dating with curiosity. Don't be so quick to make judgments or decisions like soon, but when you hear something that you're like, ooh, that's like maybe an ick, maybe a yellow flag, red flag, you don't have to write them off. A red flag actually means, oh, I just need to learn a little bit more about this. What does this look like? That way you can evaluate, like, okay, does this align with my list of amazing qualities? Is he working towards that? Is he becoming this kind of person, or not? And that comes with that curiosity element.
Yeah, I love that. Like your list, you got to be patient with yourself and the other person. Like, I may not be perfect at this yet, but I'm working towards it, and same for them.
Right. Totally. Yeah, we're all progressing. We're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think something like this is just kind of crazy. Like what you just described, those two steps of getting really clear on what you want and what you value, and then like what they would want, like that. I have this framework for working smarter in dating. Those are the first two steps. Like I really believe those are that's the foundation, the most important thing. That's always what I start out with when I work with guys. So I just want to
Yeah,
highlight that that is so awesome.
that's perfect. I love that.
Anything else that you want to say about that, Ashley?
I mean, really just like I think it's okay to kind of stand your ground when, when someone isn't like meeting your expectations. I think there is a world where you can express those in a kind, considerate way um without making them feel like they're not good enough, because we don't want that, right? We don't want it to come off as like, oh, you like never do this for me, but it's like communicating what's actually going on because no one can read your mind, and then standing your ground and really deciding
Yeah.
like, where am I not going to settle? Because I've had experiences where I'm like, oh, like, I actually really would rather, approach our relationship this way, or I would really appreciate if, like, if you and I talked about this or something like that, and then there's no follow through after that, and then I'm here settling for something that I was trying to be strong in, and so it's like you really have to have the self respect and the self like a good relationship with yourself to know, okay, what am I not going to settle in? Once I've expressed myself and made it clear, see what they do, see what actions follow, and then if there's no follow through, if it's not turning out the way that you want it to be, like you get to make the call. You get to make the call. Are you going to stay there, or are you going to move on to something that could actually be even better for you?
I think that is so wise, like, and so good. And like, it's tempting to try to like want to control them, like, oh, you have to do this. But all you really can do is say, here's my standard, here's what I want. Are you
Yep.
gonna, and then you wait and see, are you gonna, what are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna
Yeah.
do that for me or not? And I think like that's for men and women. Like you
Yeah.
get what you tolerate. The man is going to be as lazy as you let him be. The woman too. Like human beings, we like to take the easiest path. Like because
Right.
life's hard, you know, there's so much going on. It's like I'm going to take the easy road, the easiest road that's available to me. And so you need to choose what's most important to you.
Yeah. We I heard this quote in a TV show and I haven't stopped thinking about it, but the character said, "We accept the love that we feel we're worthy of." And that's again like, yeah, I was like, holy, like, I had to like pause the show. I was like, wow. But that goes back to like where the inner work is really important, because if you are not like approaching this from a place of like, no, I am worthy of being loved in a way that like I want to be loved, and I'm worthy of loving someone in the way they want to be loved. I want to give that kind of love too. But if I'm expending all this love and energy on someone who's not willing to level up with me and for me, then it's just not worth my time.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. And you have to be willing to walk away. You know, if
Right.
it's not a good fit, you're not going to be happy. So you need to do what's right for you.
Yes.
Well, this has been such a fun conversation. I've really enjoyed it, Ashley. I've learned a lot.
Yes.
I just feel uplifted and enlightened. Um, just in
Thank you.
closing, um, is there anything else that you want people to take away from our discussion today?
Oh man. I feel the thing that I'm feeling to say right now is to be so patient with yourself. And maybe this is me giving myself a pep talk. But be so patient, be so graceful to yourself. Like dating dating is truly in for me, at least in my world, dating is teaching me so much about the atonement of Christ. And it's teaching me so much about covenant relationship. And the way that I see my relationship with God and with Christ is like it has transformed so much, because God teaches love that is not transactional, it's unconditional. It's even when you mess up, I'm still here. Even if you're not showing up as your best today, I'm still here. Even when you're panicking because you're anxiously attached, or you're overthinking, or whatever it is, like I'm still here and you're still loved. And I just think that if if we want to have a relationship that is loving in the way that Christ teaches love. You know, we are supposed to love our spouses the way that Christ loves the church, so much so that he would die for the church. He died for the church, right? And so I just think that we can't have that kind of love and grace and compassion for someone else if you can't do it for yourself first. You know, because my partner, whoever it is, he's not going to be perfect. He's going to have days where he messes up, where he's not showing up for me, and where he's a mess and whatever, right? Just the same way that I am like that sometimes. And so it's like, this is my time, this is our time to like really practice compassion and grace. And then when I can do that for myself, then I get to show up for my partner that way, and I get to show them like Christ like love the way that I will expect them to show me Christ like love. And it's like we're just learning we're learning to relationship the way that Christ teaches. And it's not easy. And it's going to take trial and error. It's going to take practice. Um, but that is like it's such a beautiful part of life that we get to grow in right now.
Wow, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Is there any last words of encouragement or um, amazing advice, mic drops that you want to make before we close off?
I would say like a focus of what really matters most, God's plan of salvation, and just
Mhm.
taking time to really understand that. Like if you really understand God's plan, it's a plan of happiness, and the truth is that God, He really cares about your dating life. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to be happy, and that's why like I think in my formula for successful dating, it really comes down to these three elements of acting in faith times working hard times working smart will bring you success in your dating life. And I think that's the key to like being successful in anything, um, not just dating,
Right.
but I think like I love what the Doctrine and Covenants teaches, where Jesus says, seek wisdom out of the best of books, seek learning by study and by faith. And I think like in the center of God's plan, it is God wants us to learn and to grow. And so we should always be learning and growing. We should seek wisdom out of the best books, out of the best resources, and improve our lives and continue to learn and grow and improve. And when we're doing that, when we're making progress, I think life becomes really beautiful. It becomes fun, and we become more successful
Yeah.
in our dating lives and everything that we care about.
Yeah. I love that. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Well, thank you so much for joining, Ashley. And if people want to connect with you, learn more about what you do, or get in touch with you for coaching, how can they best reach you?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram. That's mainly where I am. My Instagram is ashleyjoy.thecoach. And you can check me out there. I also have a freebie that you can download. It's a free ebook. It's called Meet the One by Becoming the One. So you're welcome to kind of check that out if you want to do a little peek into what I have. And then my main kind of thing that I help people with is I do a 12-week program, and you can DM me to find more information on that.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And for me, you can also find me on Instagram. It's at Provo Dating Coach. And so feel free to message me there. And you can also find out more information on my website, provodatingcoach.com. So, with that, thank you so much, Ashley, for joining me. This was a wonderful conversation. And to everyone out there watching or listening to this, just keep up the good work, keep believing, and give yourself a little bit of love and grace. Thank you.